Welcome back to the NFL Alumni's coverage of Super Bowl 59. I'm Bram Weinstein. We're presented by Pacera. Better is possible. This is Nate Boyer, former Seattle Seahawk, former Green Beret.
That's right.
That typically, you don't hear much of that. It's pretty wild.
There might be only one that did those exact two things. But yeah, it's a rarity.
Tell me a little bit about Merging Vets and Players, which is the group you work with, founded back in 2015. Tell everybody what the MVP is.
Yeah, so what we do essentially is we bring together combat vets and former professional athletes, and we help them find purpose and identity when they lose a uniform. You know, whether it's a jersey or camouflage, when you serve or play at an elite level, you have a pretty distinct connection to that locker room, that uniform, the camaraderie amongst the guys, and that sense of purpose and mission. And then very often it ends at a pretty young age, 30s if you're lucky. Like average NFL career is 3 years long, so those guys are 25 years old, and feeling like you've peaked and you'll never be great again is a scary thing, can be a scary thing. And without organizations like MVP, honestly, without NFL alumni associations, like not having a place where other people that have experienced what you have experienced that can help you kind of walk that walk, even though you're not even maybe ready for it right away, it's sort of essential to have. Like, it's because you got a lot of life left and you got a lot of other really cool stuff that you could do. You've got all these intangibles you developed, learning how to sacrifice and work to something to get there. So now it's like, appreciate the past, appreciate what you were a part of, and become a fan now, and then let's find the next thing and harness all that energy into that thing.
You're the rare example of someone who experienced both. Can you describe the similarities of leading a team, leading the armed services?
There's a lot of similarities. Like, obviously war and playing sports, the battlefield, the ball field, completely different places.
Right.
But like I said, that locker room, that football is a great example because you were literally lined up shoulder to shoulder, the man on your left and right. Everything you do is about making sure we are successful, right? Yeah. And in the military, it's like everything you're doing is to make sure they stay alive.
You better be successful.
Yeah, you better be successful. I am doing my job at the best of my ability so that the man on my left and right can live to see tomorrow. And so the stakes are definitely higher. But there's this mutual respect between the two groups too. Like, when I was deployed in Iraq, my first deployment, I was going through a tough heartbreak situation. You're out there with your 12-man team in the middle of the desert. I still got 5 months left on the deployment. There's challenges with our mission, and we lost some people early on. All of those things, and there's no escape from that, or there's limited escape from that. But football was mine. Watching games, 5 a.m. Monday Night Football would be on because we're 8 hours ahead or whatever. And I'm watching that game and being able to kind of just focus on that, shut it off. And the players that inspired me the most were the ones that just played like their hair was on fire, like they had nothing to lose, and that's what we feel like, you know what I mean? And then you talk to any athletes, or most athletes anyway, we've got extreme respect for people in the military, not only because their sacrifices are the reason we get to play these games, but they always want to pick their brain and be like, when you're in these situations, you're in a firefight, and you feel like there's no way out. Like, what got you through? Or a long deployment, You're there for 9-10 months. How do you stay from getting complacent? Like, what do you focus on? There's a cool synergy between the two because, granted, like I said, the battlefield and the ball field are different places, but they both carry a lot of weight, and there's a lot of expectations on you. You know what I mean? A lot of pressure for a very young person to be handling it. And so anyway,
there's no way to replicate it either. So when you think about what the future is, how do you work through this idea of finding something that replaces either the connection, the adrenaline, whatever it may be?
It's tough, but the best way we think to do that is to be around other people who are also experiencing that and have also experienced that, and maybe who have had some successful moments of transition where they found something that made them feel alive again. Maybe it was something artistic, that's not competitive in that way or not physical in nature. Maybe it's just something that, another challenge that makes you think and have to problem solve. And, maybe it's another issue in the world, a problem that you want to solve as far as clean water is a great example. Chris Long and his organization Water Boys, right? Like that is one of his missions and his tenets that he's living by is like, I want to help provide as many people in East Africa with clean water that don't have access to it. So now that's another game to play in a sense. It's not a game, it's real life. You know what I'm saying though? It's like another
something for you to focus on that you believe in,
Yes.
that you want to succeed at.
that's hard.
Yes,
That not a
it
lot
is.
of people is willing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that, when you find those things, you feel the same feelings that you did running down on kickoff. You know what I mean? When you have like I'm big into storytelling now. I want to make more movies. I've had the opportunity to direct a couple of films and I love it because it's really hard. There's a lot of pressure. But if not me, who? Like who's going to tell this story? Maybe nobody. Maybe it'll never get told. So then I feel like responsibility to go do that.
Yeah.
And I got to build a great team around me. And then we're going to go out there and half of us have no idea what we're doing half the time, but we're just figuring it out and working through it. And it replaces that emptiness that you feel from losing the game or losing your time in the military.
So if you talk to somebody who's just fresh out of something like this, they're a little lost.
Yeah.
What do you tell them? What's the first thing you say to them?
If you don't know what you like or you're into, otherwise, you got to start trying things. You got to get out there. You got to meet people, and you got to just say yes when people invite you to stuff. You got to go. You may be like, oh, I don't want to be around this thing, or I don't want to. You know, a lot of times athletes will focus with wanting to be around the game, or they'll struggle with wanting to be around the game again because they feel like, well, I don't belong anymore. Like I got cut, or I wasn't good enough anymore.
Yeah.
It's no longer my world, and it's like. I think that's false. I don't think that's true at all. I think you should maintain that and still be around that. But also, yeah, if you don't know what your interests are, try things. If you do, and you're scared to try it, like you're crazy, because you're gonna die with regret if you're not going after, or at least at some level, doing the thing that you love, pursuing. I understand not all those things make money. We got to make a living, right? There's all that. But
If you made it to the NFL, though, what are you scared of? Really, because
Totally.
you're one of the cream of the. It took something just to get there. Right?
It's easy to forget, though. I agree with you completely, but it is easy to forget because once you're in it, your reality, your new reality is like, well, this is just my life. This is just normal. This is normal. Where it's not normal. You're playing
It's
in the NFL.
abnormal to make it.
Yes, but you feel like, well, it's just normal, and then you get cut, and now your reality's gone, and you're like, you feel like you're just drowning and floundering, and all these other people, well, maybe they got this head start because they started on this track at 18 or 22 or whatever it was, and now I'm 32, and I'm not going to be able to start fresh with this. Like I'm too behind, and it's such a false narrative. I mean, I didn't join the military till I was 23. I never played football in my life till I was 29, and I found a way, and it was because I worked really hard, and I maintained an element of belief even when I doubted myself, because I doubted myself every day. But there was a part of me that was just like, everybody doubts their self, man. Like everybody feels the way you're feeling right now. It's okay to feel that. Just don't succumb to it. You know what I mean? Don't let this control you. Like you have control of the situation. You have control not over the result, but how much effort you put in and showing up every day. And those are simple things, you know. But you got to do it.
Nate, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so
It's
much
great
for
meeting you
taking the
too.
time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.